What's up everybody, this is Mike, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to talk about shooting during the sunrise and during the sunset and my 5 tips for you to enhance your overall experience when shooting during this time frame. Pretty much everyone knows that shooting during the golden hour is the best time of the day for shooting with your drone, and the good thing is it happens twice a day, so there's literally no excuse for you not to do it if you haven't already. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of waking up extra early, but every single time I do it, I have zero regrets afterwards. So first things first, why the golden hour? Why is it so good and why is everyone crazy about the golden hour? Well, the light during the golden hour is the softest and the most pleasing to the eye, and it's not as harsh as the light that we have during lunchtime, for example. So this is one of the main reasons why everything looks so good during the golden hour. It's just because it has a nice golden glow to it. And I'm going to compare just the regular footage taken in the early afternoon and some footage taken just before sunset. And honestly, the difference to me is quite massive. I definitely enjoy seeing all of these rocks with a little bit of golden glow to them, and I just think it looks that much more impressive and more beautiful. Anyway, even though the light is a bit softer during the golden hour, it's still quite strong, and especially if you position yourself and start shooting directly at the sun, it's going to be quite harsh. So you need to figure out how you want to position yourself, how you want to position your drone, and what kind of footage you're trying to capture. Personally, when I shoot video, I prefer to shoot with the sun so it illuminates the objects that I'm trying to capture. But when I'm shooting photos, I find myself always looking directly at the sun and I'm trying to capture the sun rays in the photo, and I really enjoy shooting directly at the sun. Also, when you're shooting with the sun, you're getting those really cool long shadows on pretty much any object that's on the ground, and you can really use them to your advantage. Recently, I watched a video from my friend John from Drone Mood, and he captured a forest, and the trees that were in the shot had some really cool extra long shadows, and it created that really trippy effect. It took me a couple of seconds to realize which is which and how is it positioned, because it was really interesting. So if you use that to your advantage, you can create some stunning looking footage. Speaking about the light, you definitely need to invest in ND filters because they are one of the most necessary accessories you can get for your drone. I personally use the Polar Pro Cinema Series filters the most, but I also have quite a lot of different ND filters from Freewell, and I tend to bring them all with me, so depending on the light conditions I can quickly swap them and change the strength of the filters. The ones that I use the most are the ND8 and the ND16, but as we all know, during the golden hour the light is changing constantly, so you might need a stronger filter like the ND32 or a weaker filter like the ND4. It really comes down to your location, how the drone is positioned, where you are trying to go with your drone, and what kind of light you're trying to capture. So make sure you have at least the ND8 and ND16, and if you have the chance, buy the ND32 and the ND4. That way you will have the full range of the most used filters. The next thing that I want to talk about is automatic exposure bracketing. This is the saving tool that you can use to create amazing looking shots with your drone. Basically, automatic exposure bracketing is an option that you can activate, and instead of taking just one photo, you can take 3 or 5. So I advise you to choose 5, and the drone will take 5 photos with different exposures. The cool thing is that you can stitch all of these 5 shots into one HDR photo with a great dynamic range, and you can really push the highlights and the shadows of this one HDR shot that you can create. So to do that, you simply need to import them to Lightroom, select all of them, right click and go to Photo Merge, then choose HDR and simply stitch them into one photo. After the process is done, you will see the difference in the shot that you have created, and you can start editing from there. That gives you so much more freedom to edit the shot the way you want it to, and at the same time you're preserving the highlights, the shadows and all of the details in the frame so much better than just a single shot. Speaking about exposure, you definitely want to underexpose your photo just a little bit when you're shooting during the golden hour. That way you can lift up the shadows afterwards, but you will also preserve the highlights, and that will allow you to not have a giant white ball when looking at the sun. You will have a lot more detail in the shot, and that will help you a lot. My other settings that I use when I'm filming videos with my drone are the following. My ISO is set to 100. This is the lowest possible. My shutter is set to 60 because I shoot in 30 frames per second, so I use the 180-degree shutter rule. I counter the overexposure problems with an ND filter, like I said, and I set my aperture to anything between 2.8 and 4. I don't go over an aperture of 4 because it loses some detail and I don't really like how the footage looks like afterwards, so I tend to always switch between 2.8 and 4. And the last thing I want to share with you is an app that helps you identify when the golden hour is going to occur in your time zone, in your specific location, and you have an option to see the blue hour, the golden hour, the exact time of the sunrise or the sunset, and you can really plan your next trip according to this golden hour schedule. The app is called Alpenglow, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure that's the correct way to pronounce, but I will link it below if you want to check it out. I'm not sure if it's available on Android, but if you're using an iOS device, it's amazing and it's free. So it gives you so much useful information and you can definitely use it to plan ahead your next drone trip. With that being said, guys, don't be afraid to take multiple photos and videos when shooting during the golden hour, because like I said in the beginning of this video, during the golden hour, the light is constantly changing and you never really know what kind of footage you're going to get because it's always changing. 1 minute you're having a nice, great, crispy looking golden footage, and the next minute everything is overexposed, it's blown out. It's just crazy. So make sure you try out different settings, take lots of photos and videos, experiment, and don't forget to have fun. With that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. This is Mike from Drone Supremacy, and I'll catch you in my next one. Ciao.